this is Steve at Raybuck Auto Body Parts. I want to talk a little bit about where the different aftermarket panels that we sell fit on a vehicle. So we're specifically talking about light duty pickup trucks, could be heavy duty as well. I want to talk about the cab styles first though, because we get a lot of questions about what cab someone has. So any truck with just two doors in the front, one on either side, that's considered a regular cab or a standard cab. The extended or the super cab would have the front doors and it would have a small section behind it. There might not be any doors there, or there might be small doors that open up backwards. Or what you're seeing here would be the full crew cab. You have 4 full-size doors. So typically that's the cab styles that we're talking about. I want to also talk a little bit about passenger and driver side and left and right, because we get a lot of questions about that. Now if you look on our website, we try to list every part as passenger, driver, left, right, etc. When we're talking about driver and passenger side, we're talking about here in the States. So typically the driver side is going to be over on the left and the passenger side is on the right. In Europe and other countries it's the opposite of that. But the way to determine what it really is, if you're sitting in the car, your left side is the left side of the car and your right side is the right side of the car. So left and right. So now we talked about that. The primary pieces that you're going to see in the aftermarket are going to be a fender. You don't really see a whole lot of replacement panels for the fenders, because the fender is one of the few pieces you could unbolt it and bolt a new one back on. Sometimes you will see a lower section, a lower rear tip of the fender. That's going to be down here where you would cut this section off and weld it in. Typically though, you're just going to unbolt the fender and bolt a new one on. You have your hood, obviously. The section between the hood and the windshield is the cowl. So that whole area across there is the cowl. On trucks from the 40s and 50s, the fender actually stopped here and the door stopped here, so the cowl actually wrapped and went all the way down. So sometimes that section will be referred to as the cowl as well. Behind it is the door. You can usually get a whole door shell. That literally is the entire door. No glass, no weather stripping, no handles, nothing like that. It literally is just the shell of the door. Or you can get a door skin. If it's a full skin, it's going to literally be the whole piece, this whole piece. So you would take that off of your existing door, put that skin over top of the door shell that you have, and that'll replace that whole area. Or what's more common is you get the lower door skin, so it's going to be the lower section. So from the very bottom of the door lip up to usually past whatever body line is in that vehicle, and that's going to be the lower door skin. Typically they're going to have a lip all the way around where you can bend it over and pinch weld it, just like it would have come from the factory. So that's the lower door skin. The next piece that we get the most questions about is the rocker. So the rocker panel is going to be underneath the door itself. So it's the structural piece of the cab that goes from the front to the back, wherever the door is though. So on a standard cab vehicle, the rocker is going to be essentially the length of the door. Sometimes it'll tuck up underneath the fender a bit and then tuck into the back, into the cab corner, which I'm going to talk about in a minute. Since this is a crew cab, the rocker is going to run from here all the way to the back where the cab corner is. Now, if you have an extended cab truck and you don't have doors in the back, that's going to be part of the cab corner. I'll explain that in a minute. I'm going to open the door up, I'm going to show you what the rocker looks like, and then we're going to get into the cab corner. So this is the rocker panel, at least what it looks like on my truck. If this was a standard cab truck, this would be the back side of it. So this would be the pillar area, and then you have the rocker all the way up, and then you have your front pillar of the A pillar. On the crew cab, it's similar, but you have your A. This would be considered your B, and then all the way in the back, back here would be the C pillar. So it is a very structural piece. It does keep the whole bottom of the cab together, and that's why it is so important. Okay, so now that you saw the rocker area, we're going to talk about the cab corner. It literally is the cab of the truck. So it's this section here, it wraps around the back. If you are replacing the entire cab corner, you're most likely going to have to take the bed off. You're going to have to loosen it and slide it back so you can get back in here. Again, like I was mentioning before, if this is an extended cab truck, the cab corner is going to wrap here and go all the way up to wherever the door seam is. That whole lower section is considered the cab corner in aftermarket terms. That's not part of the rocker panel. Once we get back behind that, we have the side of the bed. So you have a whole bed side, or a box is what a lot of people will call it or refer to it as. You can buy an entire bed side. Sometimes you buy just the bed skin. If you're buying a bed side, it's going to be the outer skin and the inner structural piece that goes with it. If you're buying just the skin, it literally is just the skin. Typically though, what you're going to find are wheel arches. We sell a lot of them for a lot of trucks. That's this whole area. So you're going to get a wheel arch replacement panel that's typically going to go from a body line to a body line and cover all of these curves. It's going to be a squared off piece. You can cut it, trim it as necessary, but it literally is going to cover this whole area of the wheel opening and the lip that goes underneath. Under the wheel opening is the wheel house. Sometimes it's one piece, sometimes it's multiple pieces, typically two that butt up together and it would have been welded at the factory. But the wheel house is underneath, the wheel arch is on the outside. The other two primary pieces that we have on the bed are the lower front section of the bed. So that would be this. Sometimes it's considered or called the lower front quarter. We try to refer to it as the lower front bedside section. So that's this whole section right here. Again, typically from right above a body line down. And then we have the lower rear section. So we have the lower rear bedside sections. You're going to get right above your body line down. It's going to come into the wheel opening. You're literally getting this whole piece to replace. So if you're thinking about it as like a puzzle, you could have this piece, you could have this whole piece, and then you could have that piece. Those are the three primary replacement panels you'll see in the aftermarket. And then obviously in the back you have your tailgate and your bumper. There's flooring and floor supports, bushings, all kinds of other stuff you're going to find. But again, just going down the side of the truck, those are the primary panels that you're going to find in the aftermarket. So hopefully this helps. If you guys have any questions, feel free to comment. Subscribe to the channel, we really appreciate it, and thanks for watching.